Try this. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me now? Let's see. I'm so sorry. Dang it. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Do we have sound? Let me see. There we go. Okay. My gosh. Shoot. I am so sorry. Well, since we ain't got no sound, let's start this up again like it's supposed to be. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the reintroduction of the Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Make some noise. Clap it up. Get excited wherever you are. We're back again with, with another episode for you today, as we got so much to cover in the boxing and basketball landscape. We have, again, Artur Beterbiev being talked about as he won the light heavyweight championship, undisputed championship. Was it a robbery or was it not? Also, we got some NBA rankings and NBA action. The NBA is a wicked right. Oh, yes, indeed. And I've been waiting to talk about this for a long time. And with ESPN's Top 100, we got some problems that need to be addressed as to who indeed deserves to be in that top 10 or in that top 5 or not at all. All that and more, plus with Canelo's return and potential revenge at light heavyweight. My gosh, we got so much to cover and so little time. I apologize, y'all. We got some sound messing up. We should be good now. Tell me if we are okay. We should be okay. Am I viewing good? Am I streaming well? Is everything looking right as rain? Please tell me in the comments below. Also, by the way, don't forget to share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together, making this show the best that it can be and making everybody want to tune in on the hottest show in all the globe right here on YouTube and every podcasting platform. Speaking of podcasting, we're available on every podcasting platform. Apple, Google, not Google, I don't think they do that no more, but Spotify and every major podcasting platform imaginable, you name it, we're there. And if we're not, we'll get there, trust and believe. But again, we got so much to cover in such a small amount of time. So again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And without further ado, we're going to get to basketball later on in the show. But first, we got to cover the major news in boxing for my boxing fans out there. As we have the undisputed light heavyweight champion, it is officially crowned and on the head of Artur Beterbiev. And since we're talking about boxing first and foremost, it is time to step into the ring. That's right. Ring the bell. Let's get it started. Round one of this show going underway as we have now officially another undisputed champion in the ranks of boxing and in the annals of history. As, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially in the midst of the monstrous era of Artur Beterbiev as he has beaten the unbeatable, or seemingly unbeatable, in Dimitri Bivol to gain the undisputed light heavyweight championship. Mind you, Bivol and Beterbiev were both undisputed. Beterbiev was the man that we thought was going to win by KO because 20 wins, 20 knockouts. Not a man had made it to the end of the fight against him. One of the most destructive forces in boxing, period. More destructive than Tank. On par with people like Deontay Wilder in his prime. Now goes against Dimitri Bivol, who was able to go and absolutely dominate Canelo Alvarez. Now went from relatively unknown to all of a sudden one of the best boxers on the planet, and rightfully so. Clash of styles, and what did I say was going to happen? It happened like I said it was going to happen. Excuse me for the tongue twister. But the brother broke down Bivol. That's what happened, people. What did I tell you? I know what I'm talking about. It was a situation where, yes, I may have gotten the way of winning wrong, but still, the win came just the same, and it came by the exact way I said it was going to happen. Bivol got broken down by Artur Beterbiev, and it was a tale of two halves of the fight. Round 1 through 5, it was Bivol with his speed, with his footwork, constantly moving and jabbing, making it so that people Beterbiev, could not really find Bivol. Using his speed and his ability to, again, with that incredible jab, keep Beterbiev at bay, score points, be a nuisance to Beterbiev, as well as making sure he never got caught up on the ropes. And he was not afraid to trade with Beterbiev. There was many times when people thought that Beterbiev would be just an overly dominating force, that Bivol would just be too scared to potentially throw in some people's eyes. Bivol showed that bullet got a heart of a lion and is a champion for a reason. He was willing to stand in front of Beterbiev at times and tried to assert his own dominance, tried to throw his own volume and volley of shots, looked to counter Beterbiev and that jab that Beterbiev was throwing out all night long, looking to not just not get hit by, but also to actually tag him, actually hurt him, actually get some respect from Beterbiev. That's what happened through rounds 1 through 4, rounds 1 through 5, but in round 6, we started to see some things change. As the fight was going on, there was a sense that Beterbiev was beginning to take control. Though Bivol was winning, it was a sense that Bivol was, and while he had the fight, and it was looking still in his favor, he was slowly losing his grip. And it's because the upping pace and pressure of Beterbiev continued to grow. and grow and grow and grow. All of a sudden, the distance that Bivol was keeping wasn't looking the same. All of a sudden, the footwork that we saw Bivol using, it wasn't looking as fast. Next thing you know, by round 6, we see Beterbiev force Bivol to become flat-footed. We see Bivol getting tired. All of a sudden, the bouncing that we see Bivol normally doing, it was winning in the fight, wasn't happening anymore. There was more standing and trading than Bivol actively won. And that's when we got to see Beterbiev really go to work. And in round 7, what happened, Bivol had some legitimate flurries, was winning the round all the way up until, boom, an uppercut in the middle of Bivol's combination on the ropes. Caught him. Hurt him. Had that brother backed up for the next 30 seconds, it was pure domination by Beterbiev. And then that told the story of the rest of the fight. And it was an incredibly close affair. And in the end, we saw from the judge's perspective, Beterbiev be able to walk down Bivol and force this into a fight, not a boxing match, a fight, like I said it was going to happen. Also, thanks to the new listeners who are coming on the show. I apologize, we had some technical deficiencies earlier on, but again, we got comments. What's going on? Klay Moraine, what's up? How you doing? I'm glad you can hear my voice now. So sorry for the concern. Yes, nerd, it was a close fight. Thank you for joining the show. Incredible. And it could have gone either way. You're absolutely right. It was Bivol did hang in there, absolutely. Back into Klay Moraine. Bivol did hang in there. Bivol was able to make this fight competitive by doing what people say that you couldn't do against Beterbiev. Willing to stay in the fire and risk throwing combinations. And again, Monkey, salute, or H Monkey, hashtag mob, salute. How you doing, brother? Thanks, or sister. Thanks for joining in on the show. We got a community growing. Yes, indeed. This is great. Keep the comments flowing. But again, this was a fight that was incredibly close. We saw Beterbiev take this, and in the last couple rounds, we saw him be able to cement it by going and legitimately dominating with his offense and volume, forcing Bivol to have to shell up. Even though Bivol was trying to find some sort of opening, trying to find some sort of offensive success, it just was too much of an avalanche by that time. But from rounds 9 to 12, that he couldn't do it. And you saw it on his face. You saw the boost. A lot of stuff was blocked. Understandable. A lot of, money. I'm so sorry. Now I'm reading quick. I'm sorry. H Money Mob. I'm so sorry. I am not trying to be disrespectful. I'm reading quick. I'm glancing back and forth. Excuse me. I got glasses for a reason. Eyesight ain't what it used to be back when I was younger. I'm so sorry. H Money Mob, not Monkey. So sorry. It ain't. If you're black, again, I apologize as well. That was horrible. But hey, look, over here looking like Freezer. Calling people monkeys and whatnot. I'm sorry, but again, we are happy that you're here. We're happy that you're here, and we're happy that you're joining the show. H Money, not Monkey. Money, absolutely. Money, salute to you. I apologize so much. Please, but again, we're trying to keep this advertiser friendly, so we don't want these types of accusations. We don't want these types of mistakes going through. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you, H Money. It's all good. I apologize. But again, I'm sorry. I apologize. But even still, when it comes to the fight, getting back to the topic, when it comes to the fight, I had this fight, in all honesty, a draw. Many people were calling this a robbery, and he saw it in the title. Beterbiev beats Bivol in robbery. Many people are saying this was the wrong decision. I don't think it was. Because, again, with how close the fight was. And you have to understand, a robbery isn't always actually a robbery. Devin Haney versus Lomachenko. I have stood on top of the mountaintop and said that Lomachenko deserved that win and deserved to be undisputed champion in that fight with Devin Haney. I've been said that. However, I didn't call it a robbery. It was an incredibly close fight that was set apart by only a round or two. Arguably, round 12 was the round that defined what happened. That legitimately. And because of that, it is not necessarily a robbery that somebody outright went and dominated and still didn't get the victory. This isn't like Barroso when he beat, when he should have knocked out Rolly Romero, and then got stopped by the referee because of a punch that did not even land. This isn't like that. This isn't like a situation where you had people like, we could say, I'm not going to say Marvin Hagler versus Sugar Ray Leonard. That was a bad decision, but not a robbery. But there have been countless examples of decisions that weren't right, that legitimately are robberies. This isn't one of them. This is an incredibly close fight, and it depends on what you value with how close it was. Because you also have to understand, a lot of stuff was blocked in this fight. It wasn't just absolutely clean work outright all night long. It was a level of who controlled the fight. And even the clean work that did go through, like with Beterbiev, who was landing the flashy, speedy combinations, counters, and shots on, Bivol, who was landing the fast, clean, flashy counters and shots on Beterbiev. While that was there, it was in flurries. It was in spurts. It wasn't just consistent dominance, at least after round 4 and on. It was a situation where we were seeing, as much as Bivol was doing work, and he was, Beterbiev was taking control of the fight. And the damage that was done by Beterbiev wasn't just because, he was just throwing on the block. No, he broke down the block so that punches got through. Again, you saw it on the face of Bivol. But it was like his promoter or trainer said, it wasn't a ghost that was hitting the brother. No. Those were shots that, while they looked like they were blocked, the power of Beterbiev and the systematic breaking of Bivol, from his footwork to his blocking to his stamina to the outright ability to take punishment, forced it so that Beterbiev shots now were able to get through, and they were landing. And even if they weren't, they were doing damage on Bivol to the point that he could not implement what he wanted to do. And many times we saw Beterbiev coming in, especially in the later rounds, coming in with rolling momentum, able to go and throw combination punches of his own, wasn't even loading up on shots, but still was making it so that Bivol had no answer because he was forced to shell up, forced to run the ropes, forced to go and essentially escape. Bivol, by the time the 6th round started, there was a feeling that Bivol started to fight to survive. Not fight to win. I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. I'm not saying that like I've said it with Shakur Stevenson, where Shakur doesn't fight to win, or doesn't fight to get the knockout or fight to dominate. He just fights to do just now. I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying that it was a situation where Bivol legitimately, with the weapons that were allowing him to be offensively active, taken away, and the stamina of the constant movement of trying to get away from the constant pressure of Beterbiev, taking its toll. It was a situation where Bivol had to do what he needed to do just to not get knocked down. And he couldn't try to go out and win due to the fact that if I would, like we saw around 7, if I do try to do something and I get caught at this stage in the fight, I'm going to be in trouble, especially with the constant carrying power of Beterbiev. And so I had it a draw, but I'm not mad at all that Beterbiev won. And I picked Beterbiev to win. And hey, those who went along with me and picked it, hey, congratulations. Oh yeah, you are a smart man. But again, if you pick Bivol, no problem. There is still incredibly smart because it's incredibly close to fair. The record of picking fights, it is still above 90%, I think, in my repertoire of choosing fights. But either way, now that this has been established, we need to understand this has shaken up the landscape of boxing in the pound-for-pound ranks. Because, ladies and gentlemen, yes, indeed, for our next segment, pound for pound, who has indeed taken the shot up to top 5 and been ousted out of the top 5, potentially out the top 10 outright, because this has been an incredibly, and I mean incredibly, controversial topic of the winner of this fight. Where will they be in the rankings of boxing as we know it, of the best in the world? And we've already been to the top 10 before. Now with the revamped one, we got the undisputed champion Usyk at heavyweight at number 1. We have, in a way, at 2. Yes, I moved him back above Terrence Crawford. It's been a back and forth choice between them with how much they both accomplished. But at this point, even with Crawford moving and winning against Madrimov, the level of, we'll say the level of hardship that he had to go through in that fight, not saying that it's bad or takes away, but comparative to the, again, with Inoue also moving up and the absolute dominating display that we've seen in the way on, with them also being two-time undisputed, with them also being undefeated, and with them being, as a talent, a better fighter than Crawford in my estimation. And with the previous requirements for undisputed, I've said on multiple times in episodes past, I have Inoue at 2. Then I got Crawford at 3, but it's neck and neck. They might as well be tied. Then I got Beterbiev at 4. That's right. Oh, yes. Beterbiev is the 4th best fighter in the world, at least in my estimation. Then we got Bivol at 5. Yeah, because of how close that fight was. Oh, yes. This is entirely understandable that nobody lost any ground in this fight. Nobody went and fell and dropped off entirely in this fight. This isn't like Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. When Errol Spence, essentially after that loss, completely got dropped nearly out of everybody's pound for pound after that performance because of just how dominating it was. But with this fight being as close as it was, nobody really lost any significant leeway to say that, yeah, compared to the division and compared to everybody else in boxing, it's not a situation where everybody is, oh man, leaps and bounds better than this person, even in a close affair. So I got Bivol at 5th, Beterbiev at 4th. Bam Rodriguez is now at 6th. With him and his dominating display at bantamweight, moving up, and with the talent that he's shown, how quickly he is going through the ranks of boxing, challenging everybody in his way. The talent level being one of the best in the world, and the accomplishments and the names also being on par with other greats in the sport at such a young age. But is at 6th. Now we get to Canelo. Canelo's at 7th. Canelo is at 7th, and it's because of his inability to go and fight David Benavidez. The accomplishments previously have slated this man's legacy forever. The ability of Canelo is understood. Some may say it may be downgrading a little bit, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still incredible and dominant. But the challenges that he's taken up recently, even with respect to Edgar Berlanga, who was a better fighter in that fight than anybody expected for him to perform, that doesn't change the fact that that is not the test that needs to be taken to still prove that you are in that top 5. It just isn't. And because of that, we have to give the correct criticism. And Canelo, while he's still a pound-for-pound fighter, he is not top 10. Or excuse me, he's not top 5, excuse me. He is closely to the 10th spot than the 7th. At 8, I got Junto Nakatani. At 9th, I got Tank Davis. And then at 10th, I got Tenshiro Tajiri. That's who I have as my top 10. And it's not because, again, people are going to look at Tank. Oh my gosh, what the world? How can you put Tank so low? We've been talking about this. After Frank Martin, I put Tank at 10th. I said if he keeps moving up with this level of competition, stepping up the actual ability, then I would have him as even higher, because I know what his talent can do. But what his accolades are, ever since he beat Leo Santa Cruz, ever since he beat Jose Pedraza, ever since he beat Ryan Garcia, are not up to par of what they need to be. You can go back in other videos. We talked about the landscape of lightweight, how Shakur is injured, Lomachenko is hurt, or Lomachenko is out, for personal reasons, taking a break from boxing, potentially considering retirement. We've talked about all that. Doesn't change the fact that there is still opportunities to go and fight at 140. Tank is not too small. Tank can still go and achieve and fight people that are indeed challenges. Instead of bringing somebody up, even though he's a champion, from 130 like Lamont Welch, to go and fight against him. There are better options that would still bring money, and you have shown you can compete at that level. Forget the talk of ducking or whatever. Despite that, we've seen David Benavidez. Let's say for the sake of argument that Lomachenko and Shakur were quote unquote ducking Tank Davis. We'll say that since that's what a lot of people want to say. If that was the case, we see what happens with David Benavidez. We know Canelo Alvarez is ducking the opportunity to fight David Benavidez. We understand this. And Edwin De Los Santos, yeah, absolutely. Edwin De Los Santos too. The brother who, again, had Shakur running for his life because of the power. Yes, we know Shakur was injured in that fight also, hence why he couldn't throw, I believe what was it? His left hand? I think it was his right hand. One of his hands were hurt or broken in that fight. Understand it. And he had the power and speed to give him some legit trouble, but Shakur wasn't engaging at all. One of the worst fights of the year. But even still, Edwin De Los Santos at 135 was viable and still didn't get the call. He's got power, he's got speed, he's got footwork, he's got many of the attributes that we know Tank has at an elite level. And he's bigger, and he's got the power that if he does land on Tank, like we saw against Ryan Garcia in a slight flurry, when we saw Ryan Garcia land that right hand on Tank in the corner before he inevitably got knocked down. There is a level of, hey, if you can catch Tank, you can do some damage. Rolly Romero, as much of a bum of a fighter as we have been saying that he is, Tank even said that he was the strongest puncher, that he's faced in his career. His words, not mine. And Edwin De Los Santos, in terms of power, he's on par with Rolly Romero, and is a league's better fighter. League's better. Though Rolly Romero ain't a high bar, but he's still league's better. And there's no reason why that fight shouldn't have been made. Prove that you can dominate another. If Tank and Shakur can't be made, then fight the man that gave Shakur one of his worst fights and was looked at as one of the biggest stopgaps in Shakur's walk to stardom due to the talent that we perceived De Los Santos had when it came to the physical attributes and power. You knock him out. Boom. Well, now that's more pressure on Shakur than anything else, because that brother just beat and ousted who you struggled with. Injury or not, people are gonna say he beat who you had trouble with. Now what you gonna do? When you recover, you gonna face him? You gonna talk the talk? You talk a big game if you're Shakur, you gonna do it. You as Tank, I've said this before. You as Tank, you got the power of Canelo when it comes to business and boxing acumen. You got the knowledge and the skills of some of the best in the world. There's no question about that. Never going to disrespect what you are as a fighter. But I am going to criticize what your ability is when it comes to you fighting the best of the best. Because if you don't take the opportunity to fight the best that's available, when they are available, it's a problem. It is a problem. It is a major problem. And it can't be something that is just accepted just because you are a big name. It just can't. Oh, we got comments. My gosh. Then went on a tangent. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Claymore win. I think we saw Beterbiev box better than expected. Yep. We saw Bivol fight better than we thought. Excuse me. I'm getting tongue-tied. Saw Bivol fight better than we thought he could in the fight. Well, I think he fought the best that we've ever seen him in terms of on par with his other talent fighters that he's faced off against. We've seen him fight we saw him fight at the same center, in my opinion. Let's see. And in potential rematch, does the match look different? See, and that's the thing. When it comes to we'll go back. When it comes to the rematch with Bivol and Beterbiev, because they are going to fight again. Trust and believe that. They will fight again. When it comes to that rematch, we could see a quicker win for Beterbiev. Because here's the thing. What else is there that Bivol is going to be able to do? That's the real question. What else is there that he's going to be able to do to improve on this performance? That's going to be the biggest question. And in fact, hold on. We still got more comments galore. Let's see. Edwin Dos Santos, yep. Claymore, you brought him up. Absolutely. Floyd Schofield, even I had to be honest, Tank is a generational talent. Absolutely. But any real fan of this sport understands the significance of the competition in sport. Yes, exactly. The significance of the competition, the names that you face, help make what your talent is in terms of, is it proven and tested, and what your legacy is in terms of when we look back on what you've done, where do we rank you? Because this is all a linear story. At some point, your chapter's got to come to an end. And when your chapter's done, we got to rank how your chapter was compared to other greats in your same weight class. Like Roberto Duran. Do we forget that he went up multiple weight classes all the way to middleweight and won a championship? Do we forget that people like Manny Pacquiao, who were smaller than Tank, have fought in above the weight class? Went all the way up, I think, to 154, at least to 147, welterweight, and won championships, defended titles, faced off against some of the best and biggest hitters of the time in their prime and made them look silly, retired some people. This is the standard that we have to hold them up. If we don't do that, we're discrediting ourselves and we're being disrespectful, not just to the greats of the past, but we're being disrespectful to the greats of the present. Because when we have that when we have that skewed scale that we use for some and not for others, it's a problem. It's a major problem. Let's see. Agon5. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for joining in on the show. Tank versus De Los Santos should have been Tank's next fight. Thank you. Yes, it should have been Tank's next fight. Tank versus De Los Santos should have been Tank's next fight. If it wasn't Tank's next fight, then move up to 140. I've covered this multiple times. He's got the ability to fight at 140. He's got the ability to fight at 147. He's got the ability to fight at outright welterweight. If he wanted to. He's that talented. He's got that much power. That is not a joke. It's his willingness not to. I don't want to hear the excuse of, oh, I'm a natural 135. There's nobody else to fight at 135 if you're Tank Davis. We understand as real fans. We see people that are there, but even in the hole, if you say that there's nothing there right now, why go lower? We didn't go and fight people, even though he's in litigation, as some people brought up in comments and other posts. Teofimo Lopez, you could have brought that up. No problem. You could have fought again. Reamtch, I believe that's his name, who's a champion. You could have fought Liam Poirot, who beat Subriel Matias. You could have fought Subriel Matias. We've been through the names already. There are many people at 135 or 140 that you could have done. Again, as Claymore Range said, Floyd Schofield was an option. Abdullah Mason, though I know he's raw, I know he's coming up, he could have been an option. Anybody in your weight class would have been better as a test than somebody, even though he's a champion, at 130, a division that you not only have outgrown, but there is not a soul on this planet that believes that even with as respectable as Lamont Roach is, has any ability to take your power and be able to run with you for 12 rounds. There's no way. He doesn't even have power to phase you. He's only got 10 knockouts in 20-something fights. I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. I'm saying he's a good fighter on a smaller scale. And compared to what you have fought and where you're at right now, there's no way. That's the equivalent for you and Lamont Roach. That's the equivalent of what we saw with Canelo and Jamel, one of the Charlo brothers. Though the gap in weight isn't the same, the significance of power and outright physical ability might as well be. Because Tank and Lamont Roach, they're not on equal playing field at all. At all. At all. And again, Claymore Rain, William Cepeda, Floyd Schofield right behind William Cepeda. Phenomenal choice. Phenomenal pick. Could have done it. Absolutely. But again, real quick, going back to one of the comments, I believe Claymore, my brother, you've been commenting phenomenally. Thank you for coming in. But when it came to Bivol and Beterbiev, gone through the rankings, gone through who is indeed now top 5 and who isn't. When it comes to Archer, Beterbiev, and Bivol in a rematch, how would that go? And I think it would go quicker, like I said earlier, because Bivol has no way to do anything different in my estimation. The only person that could improve on this fight is Beterbiev. And it's because of the fact that this, in all honesty, the flat-footed nature of Bivol and the breaking down of Bivol's other offensive and defensive options could have been expedited even quicker if we saw Beterbiev, instead of constantly throwing out that educated jab and tapping the head of Bivol and tapping the guard of Bivol to break him down. Go to the body. We saw it in spurts in that fight with Bivol last weekend when he went to the body, when he went downstairs, and it hurt. It hurt Bivol bad. But he didn't do it as often as I wanted him to. But if he went to the body consistently, instead of it being that we started to see the shift of momentum in round 6, we probably would have been saying it's Beterbiev's in complete control by round 6. And the fight ends, like I had originally stated, in round 11. Because now Bivol cannot get away from the punishment. Notice, by the time round 11 and 12 came, what happened? Bivol was literally a sitting duck and couldn't do a thing when it came to defending or throwing against Beterbiev. There was nothing he could do. He was completely broken down. Imagine if that same situation happened to that level of detriment on the side of Bivol, but it started at round 9. If it was that, the fight would have been stopped by round 11. I guarantee it. Bivol had just enough energy to still keep on moving and be defensive, or at least to the best of his ability, by running the ropes because he was set. But if it was that it was round 9 and that same level of damage and fatigue and brokenness was done by Beterbiev, this fight would have been over by round 11 like I said it was going to be. Because I thought Beterbiev was going to go to the body. And if that rematch does happen, we will see. I can almost guarantee you, we should see Beterbiev go to the body even more. At least start going to the body consistently by round 3. And by that time, when round 9 comes in the next fight, it's over. It's done. It's done. Because I don't see, there's nothing else that Beterbiev or that Bivol can do. And when it came to, do you think Beterbiev's rehabilitated knee contributed to Artur Beterbiev's ability? And ironically enough, I don't think it did. I don't think it did. You have to understand, when it came to Artur Beterbiev, even we talked about the knee injury, talked about his ability and the risk of, can you keep up and box with Bivol? And with the movement, with the angles, with the footwork, can you do it? Well, we just saw, and like I said in my breakdown, Beterbiev has the ability to box with Bivol up until he turns it into a fight. You saw what happened with a steal while recovered, maybe not 100% meniscus knee. And he was able to keep him up, walk him down, consistently follow him around, and eventually break him down. And that was with the knee potentially not even fully healed, though it is healed enough to fight. You mean to tell me that with another year, no more damage and a continuing ability to improve the health of the knee, that he wouldn't be even better? Even with the movement now, it was still great. It was still phenomenal. It was still able to keep up and cut off Bivol. Now, if that knee gets even better, next fight, there's no way. Because even then, I've seen Bivol be able to sit down on shots throughout his entire career. Even though he doesn't throw and load up a lot, there's still a level of torque that he brings with his hip and with his knee. It's not a lot, because he don't need a lot. But again, it's simple. But he still did it. Now with the knee injury, we saw all this damage was strictly arm punching. Strictly from the waist up that he was throwing. No real pop or loader. Maybe one a couple times. And the brother still did this much damage. You get Beterbiev next year. Even better knee. Bivol's movement is going to be a non-factor. And this isn't a slight on Bivol. It's the ability of Beterbiev. There's nothing that I don't see what Bivol can do against Beterbiev if they fight again. What you gonna do? Get bigger? Get more power? You can't get more power. You landed your best shot on Bivol a couple times. That straight right hand, right down the pipe, overhand right around the guard. And it caught Beterbiev, don't get me wrong. But it didn't phase him. It didn't phase him at all. And because of that, it's like there's nothing that I can see Bivol doing. The only thing that he could have done is gain respect with his power. But if you can't keep Beterbiev off you, just like if you can't keep Tank off of you, just like if you can't keep Canelo off of you, when you got power and technical ability, it is hard for anybody to beat you unless they are able to make you back away or make you hesitate. It never happened with Bivol. It never happened versus Beterbiev. And if in the next fight, again, with the rehabilitated knee, with even better health, I don't see Bivol doing anything. Because there's nothing he can do to really gain the respect of the threat of the power to make Beterbiev really be forced to think before he walks in. There's nothing. And by that time, the same situation happens. And again, if we see Beterbiev go to the body again, more detrimentally than we saw him in the first fight, which wasn't really a whole lot. Surprisingly enough, CompuBox showed they both had the similar level of body punches. We would see if that body attack happened more often. Next fight, Beterbiev's knocking out Bivol. And that's probably the only man in the light heavyweight division that can beat Bivol. That's it. Outside of that, nobody else really has a chance, in my estimation, to really take Beterbiev out. Maybe Anthony Yard only because of his power, and he had a war when he went against him. But even then, he succumbed just like everybody else. And credit to Bivol, he was able to stand up. He did not quit. Only man to go the distance against the only champion, or formerly the only champion, who had a 100% knockout ratio. Better than Tank, better than Wilder, better than anybody else in boxing. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Nobody was as destructive as this man. And Bivol went the distance with him. And credit to him. But Bivol also Bivol got done to him what Canelo tried to do to him. But Canelo failed. Canelo tried to break him down just like we saw Beterbiev. But Beterbiev actually was successful. Beterbiev actually was able to make Bivol fight on the back foot. Beterbiev actually was able to make Bivol worry about what was coming at him. That's how you beat him. And that's what happened. It was an incredible sight to see. And I can't wait to see what happens next. But again, even with all that, we still have more to cover in the NBA world as we switch gears. And we'll have some time. We want to keep talking boxing, talk boxing later on. But we got a show to do. And because of that, we got NBA to cover as the NBA is a week away. Oh, boy. We get excited. Get excited, get excited, get excited. Basketball is back. We got so many intriguing matchups, intriguing storylines. Can the Celtics repeat? Are the Denver Nuggets potentially closing their window in their championship aspirations, at least with the perceived bird's eye view from some GM? On top of, not only that, we got some concerns, but some people want to say we're Bronny. More so in the Mavericks and Klay Thompson. Oh, we got so much to cover. Let's jump right into it. First and foremost, we're going to go with ESPN top 10, right? Top 100. Oh, yeah, the rankings came out. They went all the way from, I think 1 to 5. If I have my numbers correctly, yeah, they went from all the way to top 10. They've now released the full top 50. And one of the biggest things that stood out wasn't just the fact that Jayson Tatum is still in the top 5 somehow. But it's the fact that they got Victor Wembanyama at 11, even with him being so young in his career. Now, let's start with Jayson Tatum. First off, Jayson Tatum is a bum. Let's get that straight right now. He is a bum. And it's not just because, I'm sick of Boston. I'm annoyed with his cheesy nature in winning the championship, essentially doing a cosplay of every other champion that we've seen from Kevin Garnett. Anything is possible to Kobe holding the trophy. I hated it. I despised it with all my heart and soul. But beyond it, on top of the fact that he didn't win Finals MVP, understandable, because he played like a bum when it came to the offensive end. Yeah, he distributed. Yes, he adapted. But still, the brother was not great in that final series. He got carried by Jayson Tatum. I would say that to the cows come home. But even still, when it comes to Jayson Tatum, he is not a top 5 talent. They got LeBron, I believe it was 7th or 6th. They got Steph at 7th or 6th. They might be interchangeable between the two. Both of those people are better than him. Both of them are better than him. Jayson Tatum is a 11th rated player. Him being top 10 does not compute because his talent level, specifically in the playoffs, continues to falter. Why is it? I'm not a man that devalues the regular season. Never. I'm not a man that tries to overvalue the playoffs. I've tried to put everything on a scale that makes sense. With that being the case, why the world is it that we're seeing a man whose drop-off is so detrimental, seemingly as the rounds get later in series in the playoffs? He is nothing like he is in the regular season. It's preposterous how much he drops off when it comes to the playoff time. It doesn't make any sense. In fact, when it comes to who is indeed better, make sure I got the list right now. Where is it? Where is it? Where's it? I know it's here. Was it Twitter? Somebody had it. Normally I got all my notes together. Something went awry. So all of a sudden it ain't where I normally got them. But right now they have, I believe, not Luka. They got Joel Embiid, again, in no order. Joel Embiid, Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I believe Giannis, all of them ranked as 1 through 5, I believe. In fact, here it is. Yeah, here it is. Yep. Nikola Jokic, number 1. Great. Giannis, number 2. Wow. Okay. But still, no problem. 3, Luka Doncic, understandable. 4, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with his constant MVP level performance, completely understand. Joel Embiid at 5th. Again, I would move Joel Embiid above Shai. I would move Joel Embiid potentially above Luka and Giannis. That top 3 trio would probably be a little skewed a little bit if I was doing it, but even still. But the fact that they have, that ESPN at least, has Jayson Tatum at 5 is preposterous to me. There is, again, Steph Curry's better than him. Joel Embiid's better than him. Shai, on a consistent basis, is better than him. Luka's better than him. Giannis is better than him. Jokic is better than him. LeBron is better than him. Kevin Durant is better than him. Anthony Edwards at least is on par with him. And some people would say he might be better. AD is better. There's so many people that are better than Jayson Tatum. He is not in that top 10 category. Should be top 11. Again, what's up? Dots, how you doing? Thanks for joining on the show. Prime Beterbiev probably drops. Bivol, man, is almost 40. And that's another thing. Bivol's also, the brother's almost 40 years old, doing this level of insane ability as a boxer. Still carrying the power, still carrying the outright dominating nature. My gosh, even, again, if it was a fully healthy Beterbiev, not even a prime, fully healthy in this fight without the knee injury, it might have been the same thing. But again, we've already covered the full fight as a whole. You can go back and watch the entire thing. Right now, we're on the NBA and going through the rankings of basketball. And thank you for joining in, because we're getting on Jayson Tatum and how he's a bum of a player. Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, yeah, I'll do this intro again. Jayson Tatum, as a player, it should not be seen as top 5. Should not be seen as top 10. Should be seen as top 11. Because nothing about that brother makes him, in terms of what he's done, and the drop-off that he has from the regular season all the way into the late rounds of the playoffs, even into the finals, consistently getting outplayed, consistently dropping the ball, consistently having situations where you are a detriment more than a help to your team. Yes, he's adaptable. Yes, he went from a scorer to a passer in the finals. Yes, he went and changed his game for the better and made it so that JT was more the offensive juggernaut in terms of scoring and controlling the rhythm and flow into putting the ball in the bucket. For facilitating, Jayson Tatum did just that. Phenomenal. Doesn't change the fact that his individual performance does not put him as a top 10 player in the NBA, let alone top 5. The brother didn't get any playing time in the Olympics with the best players in the world all on that team. And when he did play, the brother was a bum when he did do that. When he did get minutes, it wasn't great when he got minutes. Why do you think they set him down? It wasn't just because they were trying to sabotage the rotations. Derek White played, June Holiday played, and they both played phenomenally. Jayson Tatum, every time he got on the floor in the Olympics, was nowhere close to the talent. There was a clear drop-off between what he is, what Anthony Edwards is, what Anthony Davis is, what LeBron is, what Steph is. Every player that was a star on that team, and even players that aren't necessarily stars, but still great role pieces. And again, like June Holiday, former All-Star, I believe, like Derek White, I believe, got an accolade, 6th man of the year, one of the top accolades in basketball. If not, he should have. But even still, everybody else showed their worth. He did not. That's why he didn't get minutes. And the brother's not a top 5 player, let alone top 10. And when it comes to Victor Wembanyama, the second point I wanted to make with this ranking, that man, as great as he is, I don't think he's 11th on the list. I think he's behind Anthony Davis. I think he's behind Kyrie Irving. I think he's behind Jalen Brunson. I think he's better than Jaylen Brown. I think he's behind Ja Morant. Again, only slightly. I think, again, a healthy Kawhi Leonard, he's not better. We know what Kawhi Leonard did. Let's not forget, again, we get the health is an absolutely determining factor. We don't discredit you being able to get on the floor. You need to be on the floor. But when Kawhi is healthy, And he does play. Regardless of what you want to say, the Butler averages 27-6. He's one of the best defenders in the league and one of the best offensive scorers that the game has to offer. Mid-range is incredible. Again, he can get to the hoop. Stronger than many people give him credit for. Has better court vision than people give him credit for. Can carry the load on his own. And when he gets hot, that Butler is a dominating force to stop. He is better, as of right now, than Victor Wembanyama. But with all that being said, I can guarantee you this. If we see Victor take the leap that I think we're going to take with Chris Paul this year, he'll be top 10 easily. He'll be top 10. He can eclipse all of those names I just said. He can eclipse all of them in a heartbeat if I think he takes the leap that he's going to take this season. Because I understand this because of Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama is a man, in the words of JR, who's a problem to the league.
Hey, look at this. We got some problems here. We got some problems here.
There is nothing I can see the league being able to do when it comes to stopping the progression of Victor Wembanyama. We don't say this often. I haven't said this about a player since LeBron. But the poise that he has, not just about the physical gifts, it's the thinking mentality of the game. The way he sees the game and the way he approaches the game. That is a factor that makes him so, the ceiling for him is almost, there is no limit. And with every player I just named, he can sweep the floor with any of them. There's a legitimate argument. The Butler could average 25, 10, and 3 next year on potentially 50+% from the field and potentially 30-something% from 3. And I'm talking about 35. I'm not talking about 32, 33. The Butler, by the end of the season, was shooting on moving threes 40+%. And that was before the All-Star break, he was shooting 20-something%. We're talking about a man who, by season's end, was looking like a completely different player than what he was when he first got into the league. And then when we first got into the league, the Butler was putting up 30 points on people like Joel Embiid. Yes, he got dropped 70 on his head, but again, the Butler held his own even though he got dominated. We're looking at Victor Wembanyama. He will be a top 10 player, let alone top 5 potentially by the end of this year. Potentially. It's a lofty goal, lofty risk. I don't say stuff like that often, but this is a different story. We're talking about a man who he could eclipse people like Paul George. He could eclipse people like Jimmy Butler. He could eclipse people like Zion Williamson. There's so many players. Devin Booker, he could mop the floor with by the time the season's end comes. He could win Defensive Player of the Year and Most Improved in the same season. He could be a top 5 MVP by the time the season ends. Even if the Spurs suck, strictly because of his offensive and defensive capabilities. The amount of impact that Victor Wembanyama has on this team and on the game as a whole is something so undeniable. You can be bad in terms of the team as a whole and still be so bright as a player that you still get the credit that you deserve. Many times it doesn't happen. Victor is a different story. It's not just because of the star power. It's not just because of the name. No, the production that the Butler does gives me credence to say this. We're looking at a man who could potentially be a top 5 player. Forget Jayson Tatum. We could talk about this man in the same vein as somebody like a Giannis. We could. It's wholeheartedly true. It is something so incredible when it comes to the skill that he has. Mind you, this is a 7'3", 7'5". Bring the ball up the floor. Is able to not only not get turnovers, but also carry the offensive load on his own, both as the scorer and facilitator. We're going to see him learn from Chris Paul and the ability to see the court in an even better fashion, on top of being fed consistently by one of the greatest passers and floor generals that this game has to offer, even in the advanced age that we see Chris Paul is. He is nowhere close to the talent that we've seen him in the past. No question about it. But his ability to teach and learn and develop, it's going to be undeniable. That's going to be undeniable. And that man is going to take hold and run roughshod through the entire NBA landscape. We will see this Butler wholeheartedly turn into a monster like few monsters we've seen in basketball history. Never. We've never seen something like this. And when it comes true and apparent, I'll guarantee you, there's an argument he could be top 5. by the All-Star break, let's forget the season, by the All-Star break, we could see this brother as a top 5 player in the league. Outright. Again, it's a lofty thing. Lofty thing to throw out. But even still, it's dominant nonetheless. Because he is undeniable. He is unbelievable in his ability. And speaking of unbelievable in their ability, it's not just Victor Wembanyama that is making people look at him in shock and awe. Let's not forget the Dallas Mavericks and the problem that is Klay Thompson. That man is an absolute what happened to the game that I love. What happened to the game that I love when it came to watching the sweet shot of Klay Thompson? The brother, again, it's preseason. We get it. We understand. You're getting reps in. But the continued debacle that was last season that we saw from Klay Thompson is continuing right now. The brother in the 3 preseason games, 0 for 9, 3 for 9 for 10 points with no threes, I believe, and 0 for 9 again. The brothers literally put up a combined 10 points on over 30 shots. He's gone 2 games scoreless while being, again, averaging 9 shots a game. This is not good at all. What is going on with Klay? And more specifically, with the Mavericks, have they made a mistake? We were saying that the Mavericks and Klay Thompson were going to be a fit that they needed. One of the biggest reasons why they weren't able to be a real competitive threat to the Boston Celtics wasn't just because of their ability to be outmatched from a player-to-player perspective, but also the shooting ability of the team wasn't at the par. Couldn't match the outside scoring of people like Kristaps Porzingis, Derek White, June Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, Peyton Pritchard even. Everybody on that team could shoot and spread the floor. With Dallas, it was Kyrie, Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr., and we know that brother can't play. We're like, it's nothing. He is nothing when it comes to the game of basketball. Relative to competitive competition. What's supposed to be a volume scorer turned into an outright whatever player. Legitimately. Now we're looking at him and saying, with this squad, Klay was supposed to be the man that rights the ship, fixes that problem, fix the mold of being the volume shooter to spread the floor, take the weight off of people like Kyrie and Luka, and provide some spacing for the best isolation players in the game to work. Now, he's a defensive liability that has seemingly gotten worse with his shot, getting looked off by his own teammates, and offensively has become the complete opposite of what we know him as, which is one of the best shooters in basketball. What did the Mavericks get him for? And what are they actively getting? They're not getting a return on their investment, let alone they're not getting anything on their investment. They are losing money. This man is going to be in the starting lineup. Now, I'm not saying that he can't turn the ship around, but as of right now, it's a real concern for whether Klay Thompson will even make it to the end of the season with this team. And I don't say that as to be volatile or oh my gosh or a gotcha moment. I'm saying legitimately when it comes to Jaylen Brown, or not Jaylen Brown, excuse me, when it comes to why am I thinking of Boston? When it comes to Klay Thompson, what the Mavericks need is nowhere close to what he's providing. And there is a good argument to say that the brother might be traded before the end of the year if we see this level of abysmal volume shooting continue to take place. Because at that point now you become a real detriment to the spacing and the offensive flow that the team wants to have. It hurts more than it does help. And Klay, I don't want to say this, but we've seen this before. Signs like this make us think that you may be out the league sooner rather than later. Again, it's early. I get it. You never want to give credence to one of the greatest shooters or give, disdain to one of the greatest shooters that basketball has ever seen. We have to also look at the consistent production over the past couple years. It's been on decline and getting worse and worse every time out. Dare I say it may be worse than we've ever seen it and could still get worse from here. It's a problem. It's a major problem. And we could see Klay potentially out of this team by the time the trade deadline comes in, by the All-Star break, before the All-Star break. We see 20 to 30 games in the season, and we're seeing Klay Thompson not even putting up 17 points a game like he did on the Warriors when he was deemed as bad, but now putting up potentially 13, 12 on below 35% shooting from three. Because the buddy can't drive, the buddy can't dribble. Doesn't take all that many mid-range shots, and even then, the shot as a whole is just not there. May not be a good fit. It may not work. We may see this brother out. For all we know, before the All-Star break even comes. And also, on the NBA, one of the biggest storylines in the NBA is Denver and their willingness to be able, or not willingness, their ability to be a championship contender. Understand, yes, they won before, always a top team in the West, one of the best offenses in the league with the best player in the world in Nikola Jokic. But some GMs have some problems. Like one anonymous GM was saying, Michael Porter Jr. is nothing but a scorer and adds no more value. And Jamal Murray, with his injury proneness and his decline in play, something's off with the brother in the way that this team is structured. They're stuck with the squad, and they can't get any better. And because of that, we see this team now in a rut, potentially. It's always competitive, but never actually getting over the hump again. Now, it's a lofty thing to say for one of the best teams in basketball. But when it comes to the actual validity, it ain't bad. We have to face facts. Jamal Murray has been playing completely below what we know his caliber of talent is. Not just against the Los Angeles Lakers when he turns into a monster, but against every squad in the NBA. The brother isn't playing the same. He's not looking the same. He's not acting the same. He's not being the same level of active, dominating offensive force as the second option on this team. Nowhere close to being the same. Nowhere close. And this is with people like Christian Braun, phenomenal role player. Aaron Gordon, one of the better defensive players in the league, can give you 16 to 20, is a smart cutter, can also spread the floor, and on his own with the mismatch, knows how to take advantage of it, and is an underrated passer. You have other pieces, but the main pieces, they're not doing what you need them to do. And it's not completely out the question. With the injury history of Jamal Murray and the consistent decline in play from one of the better scorers in the NBA, especially in isolation, especially in the playoffs as well, there's a real caution to the wind that needs to be thrown. Or rather, there's a caution to the wind that needs to be reeled in and really taken seriously when it comes to how this team is structured and what they can do going forward. Because right now, when it comes to Denver, as much as I know they are a threat, more and more that I look at this team, more and more that I look at people like Jamal Murray and the one-dimensional nature of Michael Porter Jr., more I see that there are holes to this team that people can't exploit. There is a semblance of stagnation that maybe needs to be looked at a little closely for the rest of the NBA. This is not a knock on Nikola Jokic. He is not the problem. But when it comes to, again, the other key pieces that make that offense flow so well, because it's not just about Jokic getting 30, 10, and 10. It's about Michael Porter Jr. consistently getting 18 to 20 while being a volume shooter from the outside and only a volume shooter. Because the Butter doesn't go to the hole. Butter doesn't pass a lot. Butter's not a great defender in the slightest. And when it comes to Jamal Murray as being the other 25 to 27 point per game scorer to carry the load when Jokic is off the floor, it's not looking the same. It's not looking like the bubble. It's not looking like what we see in the playoffs in the past. There's a semblance of time is wrapping up. Time's winding up. The window's getting smaller and smaller. It's still there. You can achieve it. And who knows what moves they make in the offseason or in the playoffs, not in the playoffs, in the trade deadline and in the offseason. While it's still going, you got a week away. That can make this possible. But even then, we'll have to wait and see. But with all that being said, we're wrapping up the end of the show. If anybody else has anything to say about whatever you want to talk about, hey, we're here. We're for it. We got time. We got play. We got poise to go through and talk about the rest of, whatever your heart desires. Because we are a show that can encapsulate just about everything. But again, we've talked about pound for pound. We've talked about Beterbiev. We talked about, I almost forgot. We didn't talk about Canelo. That's one of the things I forgot to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap up this show, we got one more thing that we got to cover. Oh, hey, what's up? Oh man, Sean Newton's, what's going on? Thanks for joining the show. You almost called us. You called us right when we were about to wrap up, but we got one more segment to talk about, not just in basketball, but quickly reverting back to boxing. Canelo Alvarez, I almost forgot. Will he get his revenge now at 175? Will he get his revenge now at light heavyweight? And the reason why I'm bringing this up, and I forgot to bring it up in the Bivol Beterbiev conversation, we were in the boxing segment, but quickly reverting back to boxing. Last topic of the show. Canelo has been consistently saying he wants his get back at 175. Wants his get back against Bivol. Wants his revenge at light heavyweight. The problem is when it comes to Bivol versus Canelo. Now that's not the matchup for the title that he's been looking for. Does he want the title? Does he just want strictly revenge? Because now, if he really wants to be about his business and continue to talk of wanting revenge at 175, well, he's got a new man he's got to face now. The man that beat you in Beterbiev. And can Canelo beat Beterbiev if that fight was ever to happen? And ladies and gentlemen, that is a bold-faced lie if you think that's the truth. That fight has no chance of Canelo having any semblance of success. None whatsoever. If you thought if you thought Bivol versus Canelo was an outright whitewashing when it came to the complete domination by Bivol, if you want to see Canelo's chin ruined for the rest of his life, put him against Beterbiev. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Do it. Do it. I dare Canelo to even attempt to go and fight Beterbiev. If he still wants his revenge and show that he's the best in the world, he wants to do what he wants, take that test. Come on. Come on. Do it. You want to talk a big game. You have been saying you want your get back. Go fight Beterbiev now. Go beat the man that beat you. Go beat the man that took the belts from the man that you couldn't take the belts from. Go beat the man that became undisputed against the brother that you had no success from at all. Go do it. I dare Canelo to try to attempt to go to 175 and fight Beterbiev, let alone rematch and fight Bivol. The fight will be over by round 6. And that's because I respect the chin of Canelo. You have to understand if you're watching this. Oh, awesome. Yeah, exactly, Sean. Canelo's not just too small for 175. He struggles to be able to have all of his faculties at 175. We talked about this when he fought against Bivol the last time. The fear with moving up is the fact that you may lose what makes you you when it comes to fighting. Whether it's the stamina, whether it's the chin, whether it's the ability to use head movement and defense outright, whether it's the timing, something can get affected when you move up too much. 175 is too much for Canelo just as a weight as a whole. But if he still wants to be adamant and going, if he takes those same deficiencies that we saw him have against Bivol, and he goes up against Beterbiev, he will die. He will get destroyed because Beterbiev would absolutely kill this man. Was he hoping Beterbiev would soften up Bivol a bit? He was hoping Beterbiev would. Honestly, I think Canelo was hoping Beterbiev lost to Bivol, so we could have a clean slate or a even bigger money-making opportunity to go and face off against Bivol and do what even the baddest man at light heavyweight couldn't do, and conquer the unconquerable. And show that, yeah, I've upgraded, I got my get back, and now, boom, I'm at the top of the mountain. Again, I'm Canelo. I'm the best. I'm not going to ever disrespect Canelo's willingness to take the test. He wanted the test. And he probably wanted Bivol to win to be even more dominating in terms of the awe-inspiring nature of the legacy of Canelo. My gosh, he went and lost to Bivol, and then Bivol beat Beterbiev. And now all of a sudden, Bivol's looking even better than ever. Now Canelo's return to 175. Boom. He beats Bivol finally after Bivol looks better than we've ever seen him before. What the world are we witnessing when it comes to the world of Canelo? What is his ranking now in the annals of not just Mexican boxing history, but boxing as a whole? He may be on par with Julio Cesar Chavez if that fight did happen, if the fight went and the story of the fight went that way. And he did get back and beat Bivol if Bivol beat Beterbiev. Boom. Oh my gosh. Canelo's incredible. Canelo's the greatest. And the money that would have been brought in for that fight would have been incredible. Oh my goodness. But I'm telling you, yes, he would have a better chance at beating Bivol or Beterbiev at 168, but we know that's not going to happen. Bivol and Beterbiev ain't moving down. Bivol will move down to fight Canelo because he said he wanted to do it again to take his title because he gave Canelo a shot, destroyed him. He wanted an opportunity to go and take his undisputed title at 168. And Canelo said, nah, I wanted my shot at 175. Again, now, if Bivol got beat by Beterbiev, Canelo, your revenge and your lust for championships and accolades, which is great, now goes through Beterbiev. You ain't just got one monster to conquer, you got two. And now that you are seemingly still looking to get back at 175, revenge now goes through Beterbiev. Or at least a part of revenge at minimum goes through Beterbiev. And if you want your opportunity to stake your claim, like you say that you wanted to so many times, go and take the test. Go and do it. But you won't. Because you know, if you thought that the offense of Bivol was able to break you through, the offense of Beterbiev would absolutely destroy you. Because here's the thing, what many fans may not see. We'll you know what? We'll break down the fight in this last segment. We'll break down the fight. It ain't even been announced. We'll break down the fight right now. With what will happen with Canelo versus Beterbiev, Canelo is a fighter that loads up on all of his shots. He is not a fast combination puncher like he used to be in his younger days. He's a one-shot, demonstrative, destructive force that looks to attack the body and break you down consistently with loaded up shots, hooks, and uppercuts, and then attacking the head with, again, one or two big punch combinations all fight long. Very rarely will he throw flurries. Since that's the case, Beterbiev has the destructive power of a fully loaded Canelo hook in the jab of his left hand. He's got more knockout power than Canelo has ever had in his entire career in his straight right. And that's just with outright throwing. That's not no load up. The equivalent power of Canelo's hooks are the equivalent of a check hook by Beterbiev. Dare I say a pawing shot by Beterbiev. Not even a clean one. And you mean to tell me that with how we saw Beterbiev walk down Bivol and the ability for Beterbiev to put Bivol on the ropes, Canelo would never be able to put Beterbiev on the ropes. Canelo will have to fight going backwards, and Canelo loves fighting going forwards. We're literally going to see a Canelo who loves to walk and stalk get walked and stalked himself and get pushed back like we saw against Bivol. But this time, his block won't be able to take it, and his chin won't be able to take it. He will get broken down by simple arm punches alone, just like we saw against Beterbiev, in the same combination nature that we saw against Bivol versus Canelo, that Bivol was doing versus Canelo. And we will see Canelo get so beat up that if he doesn't get knocked out outright, the ref will stop him. He'll feel the power of a trading right hand or a counter right hand or even a counter hook. It could be an uppercut, a shot, a wayward shot to the body by Beterbiev. He'll feel it. And the next thing you know, he'll turn into Jamal Charlo. He will turn into a scared lion. He will turn into a man who doesn't want to face what's coming back at him. But he'll be forced to. Not only that, but he won't have the stamina. The amount of shots that he would have to throw with fully loaded up to get the same level of any sort of damage that he gave to Bivol, which was none. He'll be tired by round 7, like we saw against Bivol. And then when he faces Beterbiev, if that fight does happen, he'll be so tired that Beterbiev will be able to just simply go like this all night long. Literally, it will be Beterbiev doing a speed bag or a heavy bag routine on Canelo. And by the end of the round, you will see Canelo bruised, bloodied, beat up, face broken, bleeding heavy, breathing from the mouth. You'll see his arms swelling up. You'll see redness in his body. You'll see him not even want to use his block. You'll see him try to use head movement like he used to do back in the day against people like Danny Jacobs, because he'll be all that he's got. Because he'll get broken down. He'll be flat-footed even more than he already is. He'll be more of a plotter. He will be literally only forced to shell up. And at that point in time, we will see Beterbiev destroy Canelo so much that we will see Canelo quit on his stool potentially. Now, I don't say that lightly. I don't say that because I'm disrespectful. I don't say that out of hate. I say that because of the sheer dominating force that I know we will see Beterbiev bring against a 168-pounder moving up to 175 against Canelo. There is no way, with what we've seen him do against every single light heavyweight who has routinely had better chins, or at least have chins on par with Canelo at that type of weight class. Again, Callum Smith had never been knocked down in his career. Next thing you know, got thrown like a rag doll and got knocked out. Anthony Yarde, incredibly tough, incredibly powerful, got knocked out. Nobody has made it to the end of the fight outside of Bivol. And Bivol looked destroyed by the time that fight came up in terms of facially. Again, the fight was incredibly close and competitive. Absolutely. If you had it a draw, like I had it a draw, understandable. If you had Beterbiev or Bivol winning, I completely can see either side of the coin. If I was going to choose a winner outright, I would have leaned towards Beterbiev. But even still, the fight was close, but the damage was done. You could see who took the brunt force of all the shots. With Canelo, that damage is going to lead to a fight stoppage. Or outright, he will get knocked out. There's no way he can withstand it. There's no way Canelo can give any power that can make him beat Beterbiev. There's no way Canelo can use any form of boxing to outbox Beterbiev. Because we just saw a person who outboxed Canelo not be able to outbox Beterbiev. And Bivol is one of the best boxers in the world. That is undeniable from a technical perspective. It's preposterous. But Canelo needs to keep that same energy. It's not about the fight as it is. It's about you talk that much of a big game when Bivol was the man you wanted to be. Now when he got beat, do you still want that test? Dare I say, let's walk down the rabbit hole. Let's walk down the rabbit hole. Sean and the 5 people viewing this show, thank you for tuning in and listening. Let's walk down the rabbit hole of Canelo. If we saw, dare I say, Benavidez beat and, dare I say, knock out David Morrell, which has been announced for, I believe, next year or late this year. David Benavidez, who moved at light heavyweight, who beat Gvozdyk, Gvozdyk got knocked out by Beterbiev. And Gvozdyk was beating Beterbiev on some judges' cards by the time that 12th round came. We see David Benavidez beat and knock out David Morrell, keep his shot at undisputed secured, go fight Artur Beterbiev, and then beat Artur Beterbiev, who beat Bivol, beat Canelo. Now, if you want your redemption to show that you really all that, now Benavidez is at the top of that list. Will we then see Canelo fight him at that point? It's the question. It's a real question. Will we see David Benavidez and Canelo at that point in time if we see Benavidez beat Morrell and then also beat Beterbiev? Potentially. If we see that happen. Let's see. Sean, I don't think that fight happens. Benavidez versus Morrell, but I hope so. Well, Benavidez versus Morrell has already been announced, if you did not know. It was confirmed and put out by David Benavidez himself. But again, we love to teach and learn and grow the sport as a whole, whether it's basketball or boxing. And so, Sean, if you did not know, the fight was actively made with with Benavidez versus David Morrell. It has been announced, I believe, for January. If I'm not mistaken, I did last episode, I actually covered the show when it got announced about this whole thing and why it was so great for David Benavidez to consistently test after test after test. If you can't get Canelo and you're still waiting on a shot at undisputed, go fight the man in David Morrell, who has been calling you out and been one of the bigger punchers and bigger marquee fights and names that fans want to see in your career. He did just that. So Benavidez versus Morrell is actually confirmed for, I believe, next year. So that fight will happen. So I say that because this whole storyline potential depends on the result of that fight. Because if we see Canelo now be forced to fight Benavidez, if he still wants his get back at 175, will he take that opportunity? And that depends on two things. One, Benavidez's willingness to continue, not just to win, but to dominate and get an undisputed title. And two, Canelo's willingness to continue to keep that same goal of being a champion at 175 by now continually wanting to say, I want to face off against Beterbiev. Because Beterbiev beat Bivol, he still wants to show that he's the best. He wants the biggest test. And now it's not just fighting Bivol as your get back, but now you got to go through the man who beat the man because you want to be champion. That's your ultimate goal. So will you take that test and keep that same level of energy of, I still want to fight the champ at 175? Will you do it? If you don't, then we know that you only wanted to fight at 175 against Bivol because you thought you could beat Bivol. And he's the most feasible option to fight and have an actual win against. If you don't keep that same energy and saying, I'll give me a shot at 175 against Beterbiev, then we know what you're really about. We know what you're really about when it comes to your actual intentions for campaigning and testing yourself. Because if you are as bad as you say you are, you will still want to fight Beterbiev. You will still want to have undisputed light heavyweight on your resume. You will still want to face off and beat the man who beat you and show that you are truly the cream of the crop. That's what you would want. But if you don't, see, and let's see, what if Benavidez loses his next fight on the 10-card card? Well, that's not bad either. Again, if we see David Benavidez lose against David Morrell, well, he loses against David Morrell. It's not bad. See, here's the thing. We don't, you gotta understand, on this channel, and when it comes to me, we don't devalue a fighter based on wins and losses. We don't devalue them because they lose against a person. They are still a top talent. The man still beat Caleb Plant. He still beat Boo Andre. He still went undefeated at super middleweight. He was still the most destructive force at super middleweight. And it doesn't change what's been done. It doesn't change what he is. He beat Gvozdyk. Again, Gvozdyk was coming off a 2-year layoff. I understand. Completely get it. But even still, former champion, only man to have not only win some rounds, but nearly get to the 12th round against Beterbiev outside of Bivol before ultimately succumbing. But still, the brother was a great champion, a good champion. Gave Beterbiev one of the better tests in his career. He went and faced off against Gvozdyk and dominated, though he didn't have the same level of power. But if he lost that fight, let's say hypothetically he lost that fight, it would still be, okay, hey, 175, it's too much for you. You pushed yourself. You tested the limit. You can't compete at 175 when it comes to the best of the best. Okay, we know where your weight class is. Move back down to 168 and stay there. That's your limit. You tested, you tried, you didn't succeed. We don't view it as bad. We view it as that's where your threshold is. Now, like with Canelo, we know Canelo can't fight great at 175 against the elite. We know his limit is 168. We have no problem there. The problem with Canelo and his limit is that within your limit, fight the best that you can take. And the best at that point in time before he moved up was David Benavidez. And he continued not to take that test. That's where we have a problem. I'm not saying everybody has to go and challenge consistently. If you can, do it. Phenomenal. We love it. But taking the test isn't the problem. The result of the test isn't even the problem. The problem is the next time you go out for a test doesn't fit where you're supposed to be. Does it fit either A, you challenging yourself, or B, does it fit you within what your limit is doing everything you can. That's all we ask for as fans. Do everything you can within your limit. And if you can push the limit, push the limit. But wherever your threshold is, fight at the top of that threshold as much as you can to keep proving that at this threshold, I'm the best, period. That's all we ask for. And with David Benavidez, if we lost, it wouldn't be a problem at all. It wouldn't be a problem at all if we lost against David Morrell. If it's a close fight against David Morrell and he loses, we'll get a rematch. It deserves a rematch. We want to see that no holds barred, outright phenomenal action again and again and again. It's great. You can get your get back and succeed. But we want to see the test taken at minimum. And that's what David Benavidez is doing. So we can talk about the hypotheticals of if he wins or loses. Absolutely, because we know the trajectory of what can happen. But the core of this sport is you pushing yourself to be the best that you can be. And that's all we ask for when it comes to fans. And we will respect that. We love that. At least on this channel. We'll give it the props that it's due because it deserves it. Plain and simple. So if David Benavidez loses, it's okay. It's fine. It's not going to hurt him severely. It's going to be depending on how the loss is. Okay, 175 is too much. Keep at 168 and go and keep on challenging the best that's available because now we know what your weight limit is. Plain and simple. If it's close, rematch David Morrell and then boom, go on and achieve what you can achieve. And we judge accordingly what the next move should be afterwards. But take the test, that's all we ask. And David Benavidez is taking that test. Oh, we got a lot of comments. Let me see. Should David Benavidez fight Bivol or Beterbiev? So if we wanted to see him really, I say, creep up, fight Bivol and then fight Beterbiev. If we want to see him just take the test outright, beat David Morrell potentially, keep his spot as a mandatory, and then boom, challenge Beterbiev outright. Do it. Let's see what you can do. You want to talk about guns blazing and fire galore? It will be incredible to see. Will David Benavidez be able to take the punishment of Artur Beterbiev? That's a new question. The better matchup in terms of what he'll be more likely to win would be Bivol versus Benavidez. That would be the better matchup. If we want to say which fight should he take for the best chance of winning, it would be Bivol. Absolutely, it would be Bivol. But if we want to test greatness, once you get your mandatory spot and a shot at undisputed, go fight Benavidez. Go fight him. If, let's say hypothetically, because they're talking about a rematch, if we see Benavidez and Bivol, they don't get their rematch. It doesn't happen. Whatever happens, it falls through and doesn't get an immediate rematch. Boom. If it's available and you beat David Morrell, take it. Let's see what you can do. Let's see you achieve. If you achieve, phenomenal. If you don't, it's not bad, but it's a great test to see what you are and what you can be. And then boom, bing, bang, boom. Now you go, you fight Bivol. If you beat Bivol again, you get another shot at undisputed. Or at least you're in the running for that elite championship aspirations if you're choosing to campaign at 175. And now we're back down to 168. There are options available. But if we want to talk about the best chance to win, Bivol, the best chance to achieve greatness, the test is Beterbiev. If he beats David Morrell, that's the biggest thing. All this is contingent on if he wins versus David Morrell. Let's see. What else do people got to say? Let's see. Benavidez versus Morrell on Tank and Welch undercard. Thought he was fighting someone else. No. I thought that we were speculating, it was rumor as to what was going on with that whole Tank and Benavidez second co-main event fight that's going on. And as of right now, Tank fighting Lamont Roach is confirmed. And David Benavidez versus Morrell is confirmed by David Benavidez himself, posting on his page. Now, if stuff has changed since then that I wasn't aware of, I apologize. I'm trying to be as reliable of a news source as possible. Please, whatever we say, fact check for yourself. Absolutely. Like we say, never take anybody's word just outright plain. I try to be as trustworthy as possible so you can believe me. But again, Always check for yourself to verify. But from what I gather from my information, Benavidez and Morrell is confirmed. And Tank versus Lamont Roach is confirmed. And I believe they were talking about being on the same card together. And that may still be happening, potentially. But check for yourself absolutely to verify and make sure. So that you can be as informed as possible. Absolutely. Let's see. Claymore ring. David Benavidez versus Morrell on his own card late January. Yeah, okay. So here we go. So Claymore, thank you. So based on what Claymore said, and again, check it for yourself. David Benavidez and David Morrell is not going to be on the Tank undercard. Tank and David Benavidez are not fighting on the same card like they did earlier this year. Two completely different cards, two completely different fights. They'll be happening on potentially two completely different days. So they are not co-main eventing. I apologize. And it's going to be that with Tank, from what I can gather, what I understand, rumored on that undercard will be the Charlo brothers and a couple other fighters, potentially. On David Benavidez and Morrell's undercard, I'm not exactly sure who's going to be on. But what I know right now, what Claymore reigns confirmed, and again, check for yourself, two separate cards, two separate fights of Tank and David Benavidez. That's what we have right now. And again, please check to verify and make sure so that we can all be as informed as possible. I'm only telling you what I know. But check for yourself absolutely. And so you can be as understood in your own vein as well. And again, trust me, after this show, I'm going to go back and I'm going to find it. I'm going to make sure. I don't want to disrupt the flow of what we got going on right now. This is great. But even still, let's see. Yep, you're supposed to fight Jesse Hart and change the opponent. Okay, there we go. Okay, thank you. See, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Claymore Rain. Wait a minute. Rayo and Isaac Cruz 2 is going to... Whoa. That's going to be the co-main event. Okay. All right. Okay. This is new information. Yes. Again, please, we'll check it after the show. And please, Sean, anybody else watching, check for yourself. But based on what Claymore Rain said, we have... Let's see. So he was supposed to fight Jesse Hart. And he changed his opponent. Will be headlining his own card in late January. And Rayo versus Isaac Cruz 2 supposedly will be the co-main event. Okay, all right. So we got some stuff brewing. We got some stuff going. See, this is great. This is what this community is all about, getting us right so everybody's on the same page. This is exactly what we're looking for. Yes, indeed. Oh, yeah. This is great. This is great. This is great. This is phenomenal. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. And again, and see, now, let's see, fighting on Tank's undercard is not a good look. Well, see, there's a two-way street to that when it comes to fighting on Tank's undercard. Understand that Tank is indeed one of the biggest names in the sport. When it comes to revenue, you got, again, globally, Canelo Alvarez right now is the face of boxing, the most lucrative name in boxing outright. Closely behind you got people like, again, Anthony Joshua, though loss record has been going down. And he's lost a couple times. Still, as a pay-per-view attraction, still up there. Tank is up there as well. You set records, again, with Ryan Garcia. It's one of the most lucrative events in boxing. We get it. But when it comes to being on this undercard, it's not always bad. We understand, again, as much as I hate A-side, B-side talk, people trying to use business as a means to quantify how great a boxer actually is, strictly in the business sense, there is a level of hierarchy that we understand Tank is in. That is undeniable. Again, he's got the power similar, not to the same degree, but similar to that of somebody of a Canelo Alvarez. So because of that, he's most likely going to be the co-main, the main event in almost every situation, nearly every situation, because of how much he is a draw. That's understandable. Being on the undercard isn't necessarily bad. Again, if anything, being on the undercard of Tank helps perpetuate your own cachet to be even more known in the eyes of many casual boxing fans who only follow Tank and nobody else. It's not entirely bad. Again, just because the pyramid's going down doesn't mean that everybody else can't benefit. It's still a situation where people tune in, people want to see Tank fighting. Hence, they get to see your name on the undercard as the main event gets closer and closer. Next thing you know, you put on a dominating performance. Boom. It's great. Trust me, when David Benavidez fought on the undercard, of Frank Martin, there were a lot of people, when I was in the restaurant watching the fight, they may not have known who David Benavidez was, but after that fight with Gvozdyk, they were like, yo, who is this cat? Yes, he didn't earn a knockout, but it made some fans. It made people pay attention. It gave people some real credit if they didn't know who the world David Benavidez was. To say, wait a minute, I want to learn about this guy. What do you mean he was supposed to fight Canelo? What do you mean he's potentially fighting for undisputed? It makes people want to learn. So it's not always bad. It may be from the business sense of I want to be the biggest star. It's bad, but it's Tank. It's not going to be he's got that side on his side almost every time because of who he is. But in terms of the greater landscape, it's not always bad. And you can make some money if you're on the card of Tank. So, but now that David Benavidez is at this stage where he is now looking to be his own pay-per-view, not just pay-per-view attraction, but being and trailblazing his own field of greatness, that Tank undercard was a necessary stepping stone to now he's at the point where he's now main eventing his own cards at a elite high tier at a higher weight class. It's got a bunch of buzz now with the shakeup of Beterbiev beating Bivol. Now, people looking at him as, hey, he gets through this fight as the main event. Brother, we looking at a potential headline to greatness of firefight galore between two of the more destructive forces that boxing has to offer in David Benavidez and Artur Beterbiev. So it's all great. It's all phenomenal. And I love to see it. But again, we are at the end of the show. If anybody has anything else to say, any more questions, any more comments, any more debates that you want to have, whether it's on the NBA, whether it's on Jayson Tatum, we can go through with it. Yeah, see, you make a good point. Is there a way to, I don't know. I want to put this and put it on the screen. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm still learning how to actively put some of these comments on for people to see, or to put on the bar. I've seen somebody do it. I don't know how to do it. But let's see. Sean, you make a good point, but it's not going to help in negotiation with somebody. Yeah, that's understandable. What? Even then, I see what you're saying. But even then, you have to understand that at this stage in Benavidez's business career, he is a megastar. And so when it came to after getting on that Tank undercard, with the other main events that he's had, the legitimate appeal that he has with a lot of fans, and at this stage, constantly being synonymous with the biggest name in the sport in Canelo. Many people saying that they're on your side of wanting to see you fight him as the only viable draw. And with being on the co-main event with Tank Davis, all of that has now built up a cachet and a foundation that he can now stand on his own. And in the negotiation table, he can have power. He can. Again, let's say hypothetically that fight with Artur Beterbiev and Benavidez does happen. He would have, in terms of appeal, he would have the bigger name. Though he's not the champion, he would have the weight of everything else he's done in his career and the legitimate known cachet of his resume and just of his box office appeal. He would have that as, I got this and this is what I bring to the table. And this is legitimate. I did co-main event with Tank Davis, but I was not co-main event as a small name. It was billed as me and Tank, period. That's what it was. I've gotten the ability to be, not just bring fans in, but to bring money in because of what I've done in the past. It's not necessarily bad in this situation. Again, he's been winning. He's been dominating. He's had good performances, and it has a legitimate following, a real following, especially amongst the Hispanic and Mexican population. Some people are turning on Canelo and turning towards Benavidez as their favorite fighter because of the test that he's taken. And the money that he draws in in the fights that he continually brings to the table. The highlights and the social media impressions that many people see on a night-to-night basis that Benavidez brings every single fight. The brother, he's got pull. He does. And unless you are Tank, unless you are Canelo, most situations he's going to have the upper hand when it comes to negotiating. But the way he goes about negotiating, he normally plays it fair. He doesn't try to gouge or outprice stuff. Again, he goes after legacy every fight. And throughout his entire career, that's what he's done. And because of that, he's been able to, again, make fights with the greatest of ease while still getting the majority of the money, but being fair about it. Making no real big qualms about what he deserves and what he doesn't deserve. He gets what he deserves because of his cachet, but he doesn't go over and beyond, outpricing himself like we see with Canelo Alvarez and a couple other fighters in the tenure of boxing, like we saw multiple times with people like Tyson Fury. Before Turkey Al-Sheikh just threw money at him to the point that it's too good to refuse. That's not David Benavidez. So negotiations, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be just okay. I think he won't have a care in the world, or not a care in the world. He won't have any trouble at all when it comes to what Benavidez brings to the table. Yeah, excuse me. So I don't. Apology. I'm just trying to keep my keep my voice good. But in negotiating, it's, again, there's many other people that understand negotiations far better than me. I understand what my deficiencies are. I try to be as well informed in boxing and in all things as possible because I want to be entertaining. I want to be fun. I want to make it laugh, make it cry, and teach it. But I also understand where I'm not as well versed, where other people may be. Plenty of other channels and plenty of self-research will allow for you to find out what truly goes on behind the scenes in negotiations. Absolutely. But from what I understand, being on the undercard of Tank doesn't hinder your ability. If anything, it can help elevate who you are. And so that in the main event, when it's your time to shine, you can use that as a means to say, this is what we did when I was teaming up with Tank. This is what I brought in when people tuned into my fight. Social media impressions, as well as the other knockouts I've done on my resume, and the names that I've done, and my tie to the biggest name in the sport as the only viable option. I have pull. My fan base has pull. I am a numbers mover. Hence, this is what I deserve. And with how Benavidez normally goes about negotiating, he gets what he deserves, while at the same time never going so far above and beyond the realm of this is what I need, gimme, that he doesn't make fights hard to make. He wants the legacy, as he said multiple times, more than anything. And I've said multiple times, with the legacy comes the money. It will. With the legacy comes the cachet. With the legacy comes the continued ability to be a box office name. And that's what David Benavidez is doing. Going the Roberto Duran route. Going the Tommy Hearns route. Going the Marvin Hagler route. Going the Roy Jones Jr. route. Of continually going and testing yourself against the best of the best at any point in time possible. Not making it difficult to fight you outside the ring. But inside the ring, making it war. That's what he's done. And so, that's that. Hey, phenomenal question. Phenomenal points. We love this. Hopefully I've taught you something new. Again, anything else anybody wants to talk about? Any other questions, comments, concerns, debates, qualms on whatever we've discussed or something you wanted to bring up? Whether it's the NBA, whether it's MVP, whether it's championship aspirations for a team, whether it's who's going to be potentially the biggest fraud of next season. Talk about Bronny James and the ability of, or the inability of him to actively shoot, and the messes that he's made in the NBA preseason of as much of a defensive asset that he can be. Offensively, he's made a bunch of dumb mistakes. Potentially, they could have made a different choice and picked him up through free agency. Put him in the G League. Maybe that's what he needs to do. Bunch of questions that could happen. Speak now. Speak now. Ain't nobody got anything else to say. Now I guess it's time to head out. So that means, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of The Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the show. Hope you had some fun. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you enjoyed the ride that we got to offer. And again, we try to come every Tuesday and or Thursday. What day would y'all like this show to be on a consistent basis? I'm trying to get a gauge where you have a level of consistency for people to come in and tune in. Times and places. Send me your thoughts in the comments below. Share the show with everybody that you know so people can get in on the action and listen to what we got going on. And again, we will be back next week to cover everything going on in the sports realm. Absolutely trying to make this show bigger and better for the globe to see. And we got some big plans trying to be put together all for you and your blue and pleasure. I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Peace and love. We are out of here. Yes, indeed. We gone. We gone. Yeah, buddy. We headed out. Thank you so much. This has been great. This has been phenomenal. We will see you all next week to talk about whatever y'all want to talk about and go through the realm of sports as the hottest show in all the globe right here on YouTube and every podcasting platform. Be safe. Have some fun. Be blessed. Enjoy the weekend. We out of here.